Did you know that approximately 40% of food waste happens at home? Yeah. That's why Hellman's is on a mission to make taste, not waste, with some amazing recipes to help inspire you to fight food waste at home. Hellman's is the magical ingredient that will turn what you've already got in your kitchen into something delicious. Use leftovers to make recipes like grilled chicken street tacos with creamy chipotle mayo or savory potato salad. It was incredible to see what I could whip up in the kitchen using ingredients I already had on hand. Even some I'd forgotten about. Visit Hellmans.com for more delicious recipes and make the most out of the food in your fridge with Hellmans.
Hey folks, Roland Martin here reporting live from Los Angeles here at the Roosevelt Hotel where the memorial service for legendary comedian Paul Mooney is going to be starting shortly. We are the only media outlet actually reporting from here, live streaming this particular event. A group of friends of Paul Mooney got together and decided to put this on. As you can see, the room is packed. There are folks all here. There are a number of people who are going to be performing here as well. There are going to be lots of different stories. You know, when it's comedians, you know it's going to be funny as well. It was a few weeks ago when Paul Mooney passed away, dying at the age of course, 78. We got the call. I got the call from his cousin Rudy, and he said, hey, Paul always said if anything happens to him, he wanted the black media to be the first to know. And so he said, be sure to call that crazy N-word Roland Martin, let him know. And so I told his family that we would definitely be here. They invited me to attend this memorial, and they wanted me to be here, and so that's why we are here. A number of people, Eddie Griffin, Lunel, George Lopez, going to be presenting. They're going to be, of course, talking about Paul Mooney, Steve Harvey, Dave Chappelle, others have done videos. Singers, Denise Williams, Jonathan Butler, going to be performing here as well. And so it is going to be a celebration of the life of comedian Paul Mooney, of course, who so many folks remember from his stage act, but also being a writer for Richard Pryor, and of course being very much a legend in the comedy field, greatly respected by many. Somebody, if you talk about unfiltered, that definitely applies to Paul Mooney, who said exactly what he meant, did not care what people thought, and if he saw white folks leaving his comedy show, then he knew that he did exactly what it is that he wanted to achieve. And so we certainly wanted to be here to honor his life, and that's why we're going to be live streaming this 3-hour program, and that's going to be taking place. And so that's why we are here in Los Angeles. You might remember, so what we're going to do, we're going to start the program right now. Here we go.
Reception among all of you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As was stated moments ago, my name is Ren T. Brown, and I'm honored beyond measure to join with all of you in this celebration of a genius. The brilliant, the ebullient, the inimitable, the indefatigable, the sagacious, the perspicacious, the noctilucent, and the noctiflorous, Mr. Paul Mooney. In the immortal words of Nicki Minaj, it's about to go down basement. Ladies and gentlemen, our musical director for the day, please acknowledge the pianistic stylings of Mr. Wayne Lindsay. And given the bacchanalian nature of this affair, I'll wait till everyone gets it, the bacchanalian nature of this affair, we are in need of a word of prayer. And at this time, to present the invocation and a word of prayer, please welcome the Reverend Dr. Leon Campbell to this podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I just wanted to take a moment to welcome you all as we celebrate and honor Mr. Paul Gladney, better known as Paul Mooney, the godfather of comedy. And so let us just take a moment to turn within as we celebrate his genius, as we celebrate his legacy. Let's take a breath. God of my spirit, supreme inspiration, God of my heart, we take refuge in your great love. Creator and ultimate wisdom, may all be blessed and may all find their way to love. We honor this genius of a man named Paul Mooney, giving thanks for his appearance, and because of his appearance, because of his service, because of what he has intended to do and to be, we're in a better place. And so we just acknowledge him, pray for all those who are gathered here, all of the family members, all of the guests. We just embrace them, knowing that they have been embraced through the great I Am, through the great God Almighty. And we were blessed with Mr. Paul Mooney. We give thanks for his presence. We give thanks for his love, knowing that it was a unique time and it still lingers on through his words, through his inspiration, through his comedy. We give thanks. And we all say together, and so it is. Amen. I just want to say something briefly because, I'm from the Agape International Spiritual Center, and I used to teach some of the grandchildren that are here, my children right over here. And so Reverend Michael sends his loves and regards. And I wanted to say it's my pleasure to speak briefly about this pioneer, this trailblazer, and this great griot. A pioneer who paved the way for many of us, and when I say paved the way, he opened doors for many of us in the entertainment industry, and these doors also opened other doors in our lives. We stand on the shoulders of this remarkable trailblazers. Paul did some of the heavy lifting, which helped open the door for some of you, some of the most amazing talent that I'm looking at right now. Paul made it okay to say what was needed to be said, and he made it okay for us to laugh. Not only laugh, but to laugh at ourselves. Paul was a modern-day griot who touched the lives of many generations. He was a storyteller who knew how to draw a distinct connection between life and the African-American experience. I just want to close by saying, Paul gave me hope through laughter. I was able to laugh through my tears. I was able to see a light at the end of the tunnel. I want to thank you, Brother Paul Mooney, and I want to thank you all for being present to honor this great trailblazer. Have a great service. Thank you.
Introducing CC Rain, y'all. Give us some love.
It's just me and you. I feel so lost, 'cause I don't know what to do. Now what if I choose the wrong thing to do? I'm so afraid of disappointing you. So I need to talk to you and ask you for your guidance, especially today when my life is so cloudy. Guide me until I'm sure I open up my heart. Oh yes. My hopes and dreams are fading fast. I'm all burned out, and I don't think my strength's gonna last. So I'm crying out, to you. Oh Lord, I know that you're the only one who is able to pull me through. So I know I need to talk to you and ask you for your guidance, especially today when my world seems just a little bit cloudy. Lord, guide me until I'm sure I open up my heart. Oh yeah, yes I do. So show me how to do things your way. Don't let me make the same mistakes. Oh no. Over and over again. Your will be done, and I'll be the one to make sure that it's carried out. And in me, I don't want any doubt. That's why I wanna talk to you. Yes, I do. And ask you for your guidance, especially today when my world seems just a little bit cloudy. Lord, you guide me through. That's why I open up my heart, my heart, my heart, my heart. Oh, all I need to do is just hear a single word from you. I open up my heart to you, to you. You're the lover of my soul, the captain of my sea. I need a word from you. That's why I open up my heart. Thank you.
CC Rain, let her hear it. CC Rain. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the podium Mr. Bill Burr. Bill, are you here? Bill Burr, are you in the house? White absence is concomitant to white fragility. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on. I just want to be honest with you right at the outset that the program as structured is longer than a horror's dream. So we need to get through this. At this time, in the absence of Bill Burr, I would like to bring to this stand one of the finest filmmakers America has ever produced, and one of the finest comedians and actors, and one of my dearest friends, and I'm just overjoyed to see him today and see them both. Would you please welcome to this stage Mr. Spike Lee and Mr. Damon Wayans. Let them hear it.
Spike took the old man route.
So when I saw my brother here, I said we should come up here together, and he was gracious enough to share this moment with us. We worked together with our brother Bamboozle, and I remember the day we filmed him, and he did his, I don't want to say a routine, but his stuff. And the whole crew, besides the extras, were there. And he just put it down. And it was an honor for both of us to be working with him. And we've lost a lot of people during this pandemic. And for a minute, it was like day after day after day after day after day. And I hope that we all realize how precious life is. In a couple of days, we're going to reach the 600,000 mark for Americans, our parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers, cousins, nephews, friends who are no longer here. And that number is more than Americans died in World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan combined. So when we come together like this to honor our giants, let's also remember how precious life is. Because as we've learned, with the snap of a finger, it can be over. Take it over. Thank you.
Thank you, Spike. And it is an honor to share the stage with you. I just want to talk about, because Mooney would want us, he's a comedian. Comedians wants the jokes. Yes, nigga, but be funny, yo. Be funny. So I just want to talk about the three things Paul taught me as a comedian. The first thing he taught me was how to be fearless. He was the most fearless comedian I've ever seen. We used to, back in 1985, we used to go up to the Comedy Store. He would go on last. We called it the Mooney Hour. And he would piss. He would chase white people out. They would get up. He said, "Sit down. We didn't walk off the plantation." It was just so wonderful to watch him not care. The second thing he taught me was humility. I remember when In Living Color first started, taking off, and he was working on that. He comes to me and goes, "Homie, they'll tell you they love you. They don't love you. They hate you. Spend the money, enjoy your success, homie. It's the illusion of inclusion, homie." And he was so free. Mooney was so free. He didn't care. He's the TurboTax. Free, 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 free. And the last thing he taught me was how to rock a hat on stage. Nobody rocked a hat like Mr. Mooney. And I'm going to tell you guys something that y'all probably don't know. I used to see him every year at the memorial for Jesus Christ. And he would be there in the back of the room. And the first time I saw him, I'm like, Paul, what you doing? He said, homie, what are you doing here? He said, it's the truth, homie. It's the truth. I'm trying to get my ticket into paradise. And so based on everything I know in the Bible, I will see him there in paradise. I love you, Paul.
Now a word from Dave Chappelle.
How are you doing today?
It's a tough one. I want to shout out every comedian on earth. One of the best that ever did it passed away today. His legacy will live forever. He did everything from Richard Pryor's show to Chappelle's show. He's one of the first black people ever in the Writers Guild. Paul Mooney will be sorely missed and wildly remembered. I'll see to that.
Okay, one of the greatest comedians
ever.
All right. Oh, all right. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
Sorry for your loss.
Hey, y'all. Ren told you who I was. I'd like to thank you guys for letting me be your musical host this evening or this afternoon. I have assembled a lot of my very good friends to come and perform for you. Before I go into that, I would just like to say that I was fortunate and blessed to have worked with Mr. Paul Mooney in 1988 when I was the pianist for a woman named Aretha Franklin. We did 5 nights at Radio City with Paul and Peebo opening up for us, so we got a chance to hang out backstage and upstairs every night. So believe me, it's truly an honor to be here in this capacity with you guys today, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I spoke with Daryl earlier, and he assured me that this is a celebration. So anyway, with that being said, I'd like to kick this thing off with Louis Price. Louis Price.
Can I have an A flat? I was born by the river in a little tent. Just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long, long, long time coming, but I know, no, change is gonna come. Oh, yes it will, yes it will. I don't want to say it. You know, Wayne, you know.
What we doing, Lou?
You called me, man, at the last minute, man. And when you said it was Paul Mooney, you know, man, Lisa called me and she said, Lou. And I said, man, I'm honored because this cat was bold, black, and beautiful. And his courage, you know, you got to give it a, his courage not only helped comedians, they help cats like me. Because who you know is going to start over there? Very superstitious. Oh, writing on the wall. Very superstitious. Not about that fall. Hey, 13-month-old baby. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No. That's not appropriate. It's not. I was trying, I said, Wayne, I don't know what to sing. He said, well, you got to come up with something. So all these songs were going through my mind. I said, man, what do I sing? I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to
I just heard Jamie said that Jesus was cool, huh?
All right.
No turning back. No turning back. Yeah, yeah. Whoa! Man, that's beautiful. Oh, but no, I don't know. Do you think Paul would have liked that? You know what he was? Wang, and you know it, because we remember getting some of that light. He was a shining light. And wherever he went, oh, his light was shining, okay? Even though sometimes it was a fluorescent light. This cat would expose you. You know, you used to go into those clubs and they put that fluorescent light on you, and then they show up stuff. He would tell all the stuff in his mind that was showing up inside, white people, all kinds of people. So he was a light. What, do you think we could do something that has something to do with light? What do you think? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I said this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I said I'm gonna let it shine. Oh. Nah, that's not good. I ain't feeling that. You know, I'm gonna get that right song. How much time I got, Wayne? Not too much, huh?
I don't. It's you early, so it's their problem.
Okay, cool. You know, let's leave him with this one. Bring it down, make it real sweet. You may think you're hurting no one when you do what you do in the dark of the night and day. To think that you're in your own world and not care about the things that you do, all the things you say. You know what? It's like no one takes responsibility, always blaming someone else. Why don't we just face reality? You're not on this earth by yourself, and everything you do touches somebody. Everything you do and what you say, everything you do will make a difference. So make a difference in your own unique way. Yeah. Hey, I like this. You never know who is watching, so just carry yourself like a camera is always on. Yeah, yeah. To be a good example is the way we should live and the way we can fight what's wrong. Well, can you imagine the impact of what a compliment or insult will do? Oh, just throw a rock in still water. See the ripple effect? That's what happens to me and you. Oh, everything you do touches somebody. Everything you do touches somebody. Everything you do touches somebody. So make a difference in your own unique way. Yeah. I'm out.
Mr. Lewis Price. Let him hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Lewis Price, the pride of Chicago, Illinois. Hey, Lewis, before I introduce the next participant, I want to just talk to Lewis just for a moment. Lewis had such an Aristotelian entrance, sitting there as if he were older than black pepper, getting up with aches and pains, and then he leaps onto the stage and does an unrehearsed medley. My goodness.
Whoa!
My goodness. Lewis Price, ladies and gentlemen, let him hear it. Exquisite Lewis Price. At this time, I'd like to bring an actor to the stage, a comedian to the stage, a writer to the stage. His mother, Mitzi Shore, was everything at the Comedy Store. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Pauly Shore.
Yeah!
So I got the email from the Paul Mooney family. Thank you for having me. Respect, right? And I'm like, fuck, I have a show tonight. And then I said, you know what, fuck my show, because Paul Mooney would want me to be here. Because I live in Las Vegas now, because that's what happens when you're a perverted white guy living in Hollywood. Okay, no jokes. Damon said we could do jokes. Anyways. My name is Pauly Shore. My mom started the Comedy Store back in 1972 with my dad. My dad started it. My mom won in a fucking divorce. But that's another thing. I want to give it up to my mom, Mitzi Shore, for starting the place back then. And it's crazy. I see a lot of people here. I saw May May here. Give it up for May May. See a lot of familiar faces, and it's weird. I'm 53 years old now. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, which means we're all fucking old now, too, like Spike said. So the point is that it's crazy because all these guys like Mitchell Walters and Carl LeBeau passed away, and all my babysitters, the people that fucking used to give me drugs when I was a kid, are all dying and shit. And it's like, can we do a song? Are we allowed to do a song? Here we go. We are fam. No, okay, here we go. Anyways, I live in Vegas. I had a show tonight. I canceled it because I heard Paul Mooney say, get your motherfucking white ass to my thing, motherfucker. And I heard my mom say, go to the fucking thing, represent the store. So I lost some money. You know, as a Jewish person, it's tough. I was going to make some money. But anyways, I used to watch Paul Mooney back in the 70s. Early 80s, he used to sit on the stool at about 1:30 in the morning. We'd give him a moe, and we'd put a straw in it, and then he would say the N-word a lot. And obviously, I can't say that shit, but he would say, da-da-da-da-da, I do it so much my teeth turn white, or some shit. Remember that? I can't say it, because I'll get fucked. There's cameras and shit everywhere. So... But Paul Mooney used to just flow, and that's what I fucking love watching him. He would just flow. And him, like Rodney Dangerfield, you know, he made it a little bit later in life, but I was so happy that Paul made it. I was so happy that Dave Chappelle gave him a shot on his show and respect and put him out there so then he could fucking headline and not open for people, make a whole bunch of money. And I was so happy to see that, and he matured a little bit later on stage, and he became a huge star, and he's so well respected. And I came here because of Paul. I knew I was going to see his twins. I haven't seen them since fucking the strike or some shit. We used to play on the Comedy Store basketball team, and I used to see it. They were on the fucking team too. And but it's so nice to be here amongst family. Thank you for having me. And Paul Mooney is in my heart. Every time I see a smile on the screen and I see him, I feel like I'm connected to him still. So he's not with us physically, but emotionally he's with us. I love you so much, Paul Mooney, and thank you for being with my mom all those years at the store, because when I think of the Comedy Store, I think of my mom, and I think of Paul Mooney drinking the fucking Moet, cruising around the hallway. And I love you so much, Paul, and thank you for having me. Thank you.
Pauly Shore, ladies and gentlemen. Let him hear it. Pauly Shore, all the way from Las Vegas. At this time, I'd like to bring to the microphone one of Mooney's dearest friends, an extraordinarily funny man, one of his great colleagues. Joey Kamen, would you please come? There he is. Let him hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Joey Kamen.
Oh, thanks for having me. Before I start, I wanted to give a message from Kitty Bruce. If you don't know who Kitty Bruce is, she's the daughter of the legendary Lenny Bruce. And I spoke to her last week, and she wanted me to give a special message, a very simple message, that she loved Paul, and she wanted to express her condolences to the family. And she couldn't be here. She lives in Pennsylvania now, but she did want me to say it to the group that she was upset, but she wanted to express her love. I first met Paul Mooney when I was 17 years old in 1974 at the end. Believe it or not, I was performing professionally at the Comedy Store at that age. And he was one of the few adults that treated me with respect, because there was a lot, you're doing a job that adults are doing at 17. A lot of these fuckers don't like you at all, because you're getting laughs and all that kind of stuff. And we would do literally hundreds of shows together, because Mitchie would have me go before him, because my act was, I'm from Detroit, and I grew up on the streets of Detroit, and my act was very ethnic, for lack of better words, where I performed all these different black characters, and Paul had nicknamed me the Negro Impressionist. Oh, he's the Negro Impressionist, homie. And Paul was just a good guy to me. I don't know him as a legend. I know him as my friend. And I have so many stories about him. I mean, I told some at the Laugh Factory when they did this a couple of weeks ago. And with Richard Pryor, I would watch Richard Pryor. And Richard Pryor, the first time he saw me when I was 18 years old, he wanted to kick my ass, okay? Because I was on stage doing my black characters, which were like, stuff like, when you're 18 years old, you just were fucking around. I go, hey, have you guys seen those black Hare Krishnas down at the airport? And I go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, sing ho! And then punching him in the face, stupid kid shit, So he looked at Paul. I didn't know who Richard Pryor was. And he looked at Paul and he goes, who's this motherfucker? Al Jolson's son? So my nickname for many years became Al Jolson's son. And Paul calmed him down because he was coked up and wanted to beat me up. So, Paul calmed him down, and he introduced me to him, and he was very cool. And back then, he had like one hit album out, That N-Word's Crazy, and he was on I think the movie with Diana Ross, Mahogany. And so I went out and bought his album, That N-Word's Crazy, and I was the lifelong fan after that. And I was allowed to go on before him. There was a select few comedians that would get. It was me. Rest in peace, Johnny Witherspoon. Rest in peace, Shirley Hemphill, who was a good friend of mine, and also a Native American Indian comedian named Charlie Hill would go on before him also, in front of when Richard would perform there. And I'd see hundreds of performances of Richard's. This is something I said. He worked all that material at Sunset Strip, and it was just fascinating to watch him work. But let me get to Paul, anyways. Paul was he was insane. I mean, stuff people don't realize. We hung out a lot. We used to go to the movies all the time after the shows. We go to the movies. And Paul's one of these guys, when you go, I kid you not, you go to the movies with him, he talks to the screen. And it's really embarrassing. Don't go in that room, homie. Oh, the killer's in there, brother. And one time in Vegas, he really made me laugh. We were working in Las Vegas, and we went to the movie, one of those slasher movies, okay? And it's like, it's the group of teenage kids are going to get killed by Jason or whatever, and there's this one token black kid in there. And when he goes, oh, I can't wait till they kill this motherfucker. Okay. The little guy talking about, hey, buddy. He's making fun of him real loud. I didn't mind him talking about it. So about 15 minutes later, the little black kid gets killed, and the movie's like, yes! He starts applauding in the theater. And people would turn around, shut up! So he was pretty funny. And Paul would do crazy shit, not only that, with other people off stage. I remember one time I was, these are stories no one's really heard. Well, actually, here, I'll tell you two. He had told me, he goes, Joey, I met Madonna. I go, you met Madonna, really? I go, what was she like? He goes, I had to straighten her ass out, homie. He went to lunch with Sandra Bernhardt and Madonna when she was like hanging out with Madonna in those days. And he said they were having lunch, and he looked at her and said, what are you eating? And she gave him an attitude. And then he told me, he said to her, look, bitch, I didn't ask you who you were eating. I asked you what you were eating. Straightened her ass out. So, I mean, I don't know how long I can tell you. I can tell you a bunch of stories. I mean, and one time I was, you don't mind hearing these guys? Okay. All right. So Paul would, one time I was dating this real cute, tiny, little, petite, light-skinned black girl for a couple months. And we'd go to the Comedy Store, because I was there every single night. I performed every single night. And, you know, we'd sit in the back there. And Paul would be the only black comedian to come and talk to me. The other guys would look at me like, what's he doing with her? How'd he get her? You know, I know that they're thinking. You know that old phrase, once you go white, you know it's right. So she thought Paul was hilarious, okay? And Paul drove shitty cars, okay? He's this shitty Jaguar that was always breaking down. And then he had this big old green ugly Cadillac that ate oil every 200 miles. And so he was always asking me to give him rides home, you know, and give me, brother, I need a ride. So I'm sitting in the back of the club, you know, and there's a phone call. There's no pagers then. There's no cell phone. There's no internet. There's nothing. So I get a phone call in the booth there. And I go, who the hell's calling me at the Comedy Store? Brother, I need a ride. So he was down on Doheny and Sunset. I think he was having a meeting at Mitzi's house. She lived up the hill. So I go and get him in the car, and I have this date with me, okay? And it's a little car I'm driving, you know, like a little Dodge Colt or whatever. And Paul wants to sit in the front seat. So he sits in the front seat. I'm driving, and she's in the back seat, okay? So all of a sudden, we're driving, and she's all excited that Paul Mooney's in the car, you know? So all of a sudden, she takes it upon herself to announce her ethnicity. And she says, you know, Paul, I'm part Scottish and American Indian and French on my mother's side and blah, 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 blah. And Paul just looks at her and goes, no, bitch, you're an N-word. I think he ruined me getting laid that night. You know, I mean, he's like, you know, there were a lot of stories, you know, with Paul, but, you know, Paul didn't actually, you know, we worked out in the Comedy Store for many years, and Mitzi would always have me go to La Jolla with them or Las Vegas with them, you know, because she liked to put, like, her ethnic show together, and I was, like, the token white guy, you know, and Paul didn't really become super famous until, like, the Chappelle Show in '90, so there was, like, 20-something odd years of him just, like, toiling sort of in obscurity because the club owners didn't want to put him on because, you know, he was just so radical. And I used to give him Paul would do these jokes. If he wanted to hear from me, for some reason, he didn't care if I told him any racist joke or anything like that because he wanted to hear it. Now, what guy wants to hear this? But I said to any other black guy, I'd get my ass kicked. He goes, I need those jokes. So he used to have a section in his act, and the section was about 5-2-minute section, okay, that was, these are my favorite N-word jokes told to me by my white friends. The most racist jokes you ever heard. And the juxtaposition of that was like, you know, here's a black guy telling racist black jokes that probably have not only been heard at Klan meetings, and he's telling them on stage, and the audience is going apeshit. They're going insane. And it was so strong that when he tried to do his regular material after that, it didn't fly as well because these jokes were that powerful. But anyways, in wrapping up, I just wanted to say, you know, when I hadn't seen Paul in many years, and I was really saddened to hear that he had dementia, was ailing health and all that kind of stuff. And then when I saw on the internet that he died, at first I went, oh gosh. And then about 20 minutes later, it kind of hit me, and all these memories flowed back into me when I was a kid. And you know, he was one of the few that showed me respect. And, you know, Paul had his demons, big and small, like everybody else. But to me, he was just a really good guy who always kept his word to the comedians, and not much to the family, but to the comedians. And he was just a good guy, and I hope he's at peace now. And, you know, I've always loved you, and I love you, Paul, and I hope you're where you are and you're okay. Thank you very much for having me tonight. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a video from Jay Leno.
I first met Paul Mooney back in the 70s at the Comedy Store. When I got here, Paul was one of the kings of the Comedy Store. He would blow the room out every night, hilariously funny. I can remember when the TV show Roots premiered, I think it was in 77. That's when Paul was in his element. He took that. It was, at the time, for those too young, it was a hugely popular show about slavery and Kunta Kinte and all of that. And Paul would come in every night and go, white people keep apologizing. I'm sorry, I didn't know. He would do this hilarious, it was just hilarious. He would just kill every single night with that. Plus he was also Richard Pryor's muse, you know. Lenny Bruce had a guy named Joe Ancis who was friends with Rodney, and Joe Ancis was not a comedian, but a very funny guy. He gave Lenny a lot of material. He gave Rodney material. And that's kind of what I think Paul did with Richard Pryor. I'd see them put their heads together at the Comedy Store, and Mooney would tell them something, and then Richard would go up and kill with it. And it was fascinating. But he was exasperating to deal with. You know, he was just... I remember one time he said, Jay, you got jumper cables? You got cars? You got cars, right? I need jumper cables. I got a car at my house. It's dead. I said, yeah, I got Paul. I give him my jumper cables. 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So after about 6 weeks, I go, Paul, can I get my jumper cables back? He said, I threw them away. I said, why did you throw them away? Because they didn't work. They're broken. What do you mean they're broken? They're cables. What do you mean they're broken? Well, I put them in my car and it didn't start, so I threw them away. I said, did you put them on right? And then he gives me, oh, you're saying a black man doesn't know how to put jumper cables on. Is that what you're telling me? Saying black people can't put jumper cables on? No, Paul. So, you know, and it was just like the most ridiculous guy. I said, look, just... where did you throw them? I'll go get them, because nobody had any money back in the 70s. You know, I threw them in the garbage, just threw them away. Look, I put them in my car, they didn't work. I said, well, what didn't work? It's just a cable. The cable wasn't broken. It goes from one battery to the next battery. So I never got my cables back. You know, that was just sort of my relationship with Paul. Very cantankerous, but always funny, you know. The funny thing about the comedy business, there can be people you have nothing in common with, but you have this bond because you're a comic. Because I come from a little town in New England. I never met another comedian. And when I came here, it was all comedians. And Paul was one of those guys, just a quirky, kind of interesting guy. I remember one time I saw an old episode of Playboy After Dark. That was Hugh Hefner's TV show. It was black and white. And Hefner goes, we got a very funny young man here, Mr. Paul Mooney. What, Mooney? What? Well, I'm thinking, how old is Mooney? I was in high school when this show was on. We could never figure out how old he was, because he always looked great. Then he played Sam Cooke in that movie. I think it was a Buddy Holly story, so everybody was really excited about that. That was kind of cool. The last time I saw him, I didn't actually see him. I was driving through town, and I see a lady stuck with a car. So I said, can I help you? Oh, yeah. So I help her out with the car, and she can't get it running. The guy says, well, let me give you a ride. Where do you go? She said, I'm going to this place. And she goes, you're the comedian, right? I said, I think you know my cousin or my uncle. I said, who's your uncle? Go, Paul Mooney. I go, oh, yeah, I know Paul. She said, how's he doing? She said, well, he's been sick. I said, oh, I didn't know that. I said, you got a phone number? I'll give him a call, you know. So she gives me a number. And I get home and I go, Paul, Jay Leno. Hey, what's going on? I said, I met your cousin. Her car broke down, and I gave her a ride. He goes, I don't pay for her. You know, I don't cover her. I ain't going to pay you for whatever you did for her. You're not getting money from me. I don't want your money, Paul. I'm just telling you. She goes, well, why are you calling me about it? I go, Paul, I'm just telling you. I met your cousin, okay? It's just a chance to touch base. That's all. I heard you're sick. You know, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. But does my cousin know your money? No, he doesn't owe you any money. I just gave her a ride from one place to the next. I couldn't fix her car. She told me you were sick. I just wanted to call in and check in with you. And that was kind of my last conversation with him. You know, he was a comic to the end, funny, a genuine original. I mean, he really was. It wasn't so much, you know, a lot of comics say things funny, and a lot of comics do things funny. Paul said and did things funny. He said it in a funny way, he did it in a funny way. So even when he was like cantankerous and irritable with you, it still made you laugh. So, I don't know. God bless, old friend. Godspeed.
Now a word
Greetings,
from Tasha Day.
My name is Tasha Day. I'm one of Mooney's good friends, as mentioned. in the Masterpiece CD. I'm the Tasha he's talking about. Tasha Day. First time I saw Mooney perform was the Raw Tour. I was blown away. I wasn't expecting it. Here was this guy saying things I had never heard any comedian go. It was raw. Let me just put it that way. It was very raw. The perfect opener for a concert, for a Raw Tour. I laughed so hard. That's the first and only comedian that ever made me fall out of my seat. I fell on the floor and got back, was still laughing. So many years later, I meet him again in B. Smith's in New York City. I approached him, and it was a funny